So much yet of life for us to celebrate and to enjoy. I want to turn, of course, really to this lady right here. And this is Leah. Stand up a second. Okay, here. What? She said 1 second. Okay. I'm going to talk a little later about Leah. But those of you who don't know her, a very quiet, unassuming woman who really does the day-to-day job. I mean, I'm up here. I can escape to the synagogue. She's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I want to turn also, of course, really to Leah's father, who's here, to Bert Hurwitz, Eyal knows and Zadie, to welcome to our congregation. When we needed him, he's always been there. Even though she's not here this morning, we feel her presence. She's helped us as well, and that really is bubbling. May her memory be blessed. I also want to turn really to my parents who are here this morning, to my father and to my mother, who've lived with us really for months, for years literally, to help us whenever the need was. Syracuse has made a tremendous impact on my mother. She broke her hip here in her last visit. Again, my father is with us at the Dominion. Him and Eyal have his opportunities together. And again, I want to thank them. I want to turn really, Dad, stand up a second. Mother, my father-in-law, here, stand up. Just because we're going to do a blessing, okay? I also just want to turn really to acknowledge other people here. There's my sister, who's here, Ty, Shelley. There's her family, there's Mel and Julie, there's Gotti. There's another group of people also I want to turn to. I also want to turn to, sit down a second, Dad, it's all right. Tell my father he loves it, he'll stay here for 2 hours. I also want to turn to aunts and uncles who've been here, but also there are nurses. Our nurses really are not our nurses, but they're like family, right, Eyal? When Eyal gets angry, he yells at them. And I just want to acknowledge really them. I want them to just stand up for a second. Please stand up so people can see it. You folks are terrific. These people. And I'll not agree with it all, but watch that in a second. Again, all the nurses are terrific, but there's been one nurse who's been with us since day one. Marilyn, stand up a second. This lady over here is Marilyn Ober. Right, you talk about a sense of community. Marilyn was with us the day that Eyal came home. It was Erev Rosh Hashanah 8 years ago. And Marilyn, some of you know, she has 6 children, very active in the Mormon church, very active. Her yiffus is, I told her last night, she's the great-great-great-granddaughter of the president of the Mormon church. She works for a rabbi. The interesting thing is, Marilyn knows more about synagogue than 90% of our congregation. She's with us practically every Saturday morning, and it's interesting, she'll see some of our members Saturday afternoon walking around Shopping Town, and she'll say to them, how come you weren't in shul? She said they had a delicious extended Kiddush. You know? Really, this is great. And also what I want to turn to, as I said before, are his teachers. There's been therapists who've been with us from day one. I mean, it's the other, also their school aides are with us. And I also want to extend a hearty thank you to the Syracuse School District. Many times they're beaten down on. I believe the head of special education is with us this morning. It's a good friend, Ed Irwin, and also I believe the superintendent of Syracuse Schools is with us this morning. It's Bob DeFlorio. These people don't get the credit for what they do. All they get criticized is about budgets. But I want to tell you, they made this miracle take place happen this morning because they came and we said we wanted him to go to school, be mainstream, and it happened. And finally, there are a couple of other last people, and they're his doctors who made this thing possible. There's a good friend here, and probably the only rabbi in the United States. Doctors don't make house calls. He's a pediatric oncologist. That team is here, Steve Devansky, but there's a man with us right from the beginning. He's sitting over there. It's Ron Godot. Ron's a member of this congregation. He's head of pediatric oncology. And Ron, I want to thank you for making this day possible. God bless you. Finally, folks, Acharon Chaviv from the medical family, you sort of get to know your doctors very, very well. Correct, Eyal? There was a man really when people told us it was hopeless. It was hopeless. There was a man who planted in our hearts some light and a spark of life. He's sitting right over there. I'm going to sell your book for you this morning. He wrote a great, great book. It's called Gifts of Time. You've seen him, Sam Donaldson did the interview, wasn't it? I think it was Sam Donaldson, the large segment. He's been on Tom Snyder, the Today Show. He said a pediatric neurosurgery at NYU. He's a very busy man. And many times surgeons, 8 years later, they'll walk away from kids like this. They don't want any kind of relationship. Got a phone call this past week from his secretary who said, Dr. Epstein wants to know what time he should be there. He flew in this morning. He's going to have lunch with us. He's going to go back. He spoke here at Slichot, this past Slichot. It's a great, great message, not about medicine, about possibility and hope. And I want to thank Dr. Fred Epstein for being a friend and being here this morning. God bless you. Finally, I'm going to ask Noga and Ora, come up, you guys. Come on, let's go. Okay? I want Noga and Ora, I want Erez and Mitzvah, because we've done this together as a family. It's been done as a family. And as they're coming up, I also want to thank friends who are here this morning as well. Dr. Kaplan, Pam, these over here. Let me introduce this over here is Lisa. Lisa is 7 years old, who's the toughest one in the family. This is Ora. Okay, Ora is really upset because she's graduating high school tomorrow. She really doesn't want to leave Pebble Hill. She feels really bad about it. But this is a great weekend for us because Ora is graduating tomorrow, and she's going to be a freshman at Brandeis. This is Noga. Noga is going to be a junior at Brandeis. She's going to spend part of her year in Israel. She's majoring in Jewish studies and going to become a rabbi, right, Noga? Right. And finally, this is Erez. Erez is graduating the Hebrew Day School this year. This is really our entire family unit. And Acharon Chaviv, this is man over here. Come over here. This gentleman over here, okay, with Leah had a dream. I said, I don't think we could do it. I said, all we could do maybe is a Saturday afternoon, we'll do it with Leah. Leah said, we'll do this with a big screen. Eyal deserves it. You can't work with him every Sunday for an hour. Develop the kind of relationship he's developed with a lot of youngsters in this congregation. And Manny, thank you. And it's just the right height. The other thing you can take and now what we're going to do, it's not just me, our entire family, we're going to bless it. Okay? Kendra? May God bless you. Keep watch over you. Everybody to join with us in a great, great blessing. It's a blessing of life, and that's a Sheffiah. one of the nice things of having your son have a bar mitzvah is you don't have to deliver a sermon. You get somebody else to do it. This morning we are very privileged because we have a nice kind of tradition. This is our third child to celebrate bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah in this congregation. And for the first two, a very good friend, who I know from my camp days in Vermont, Rabbi Seymour Rosenblum, who was a rabbi at Addith Jeshurun congregation in Philadelphia, stood on his pulpit. It's a nice tradition to have good friends. So again, it's with personal privilege and pleasure that I call upon my closest friend. We have a house together in the Pocono Mountains. We used to have, rather. We have a lot of things that we do together. We've been through good times and difficult times, and when a rabbi sometimes is beaten down upon, who do you speak to? You talk to your wife, you scream. This is the man who I make a phone call to. When he has problems, he calls me. So we probably talk to each other 4 or 5 times a day. Rabbi Seymour Rosenblum.
As Rabbi Sherman mentioned, I've spoken from this pulpit twice before, at Nova's Bat Mitzvah and at Ober's Bat Mitzvah, and it is a wonderful privilege to speak this morning at Eyal's Bar Mitzvah. I've been looking forward to this day, more than you could know, in part because we've watched Eyal's progress during the 13 years of his life, and especially over the last 8 years. In part, it's because Rabbi Sherman has been telling me every time he calls me about how he gets to preach to a congregation like this every Shabbos morning. And so I figured it would be nice at least once to be able to speak in such a full sanctuary. But the truth is, the real reason I have such great pleasure in speaking today is that I have been anticipating, savoring this moment since last Shabbat morning at 11:55 a.m. You see, last week my son Daniel became a bar mitzvah, and he had an aliyah this morning. It was a glorious, joyous time for me. There was family from all over the world, friends, congregants. It was a packed sanctuary. And I knew I would be overcome with emotion. And I knew I did not want to have to deliver a sermon that Shabbos morning. So I turned again to my dear, beloved, like a brother, friend, your rabbi, my precious confidant, Chuck. I knew he would express warm words of praise, admiration, affection, even love. After all, we've known each other for 28 years. We've been through the Sinai Desert together, and we've been through the wars at 3080 Broadway, the seminary, together. I was the best man at their wedding, and I accompanied them on their honeymoon. That was because he didn't know Arnie yet. And he was the best man at my wedding, but I didn't reciprocate. He didn't come to our honeymoon. We confide in each other, we counsel each other, we console each other. And so at 11:50 last Shabbos morning when he got up and he lit into me sarcasm, black humor, he exposed all my warts, even my soft underbelly. He did it before my congregants. He did it before my mother. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. He's done it before. In fact, he said himself last Shabbos morning that after he spoke at Josh's bar mitzvah, he was sure, and these are his words, I thought my last sermon would be just that, my last sermon from the pulpit of AJ in Philadelphia. But the reason I thought things would be different was because I knew that a week after last week's bar mitzvah, I would be speaking here to his congregants, in front of his parents. And I thought, at least knowing that, he would be kind. Well, I want to tell you, the last couple of days, people have been calling me. The president of the synagogue called, Ricky Goodman. She said, please be sure to give Chuck a mazel tov for me and get him good. Mel Rothbard, who's been to Israel twice with Rabbi Sherman and myself, called me and said, listen, I know it's going to be a great morning. I just wish I could be there too. Get him good. In fact, even Bennett Goldstein called me. He's the Marty Birnbaum of Philadelphia. And Bennett said, listen, Seymour, bury him. Well, would I do such a thing? How could I possibly humiliate my friend on the morning of his son's bar mitzvah? Chalila, the thought would never enter my mind. And then I said to myself, why not? What is it about this man that yet though he slay me, still do I smile and laugh and love him? What is the source of his charisma that prevents me, even in jest, from uttering an ill word about him? Well, I thought about that one. And as I was sitting in shul last Shabbos morning, getting the business from him, it suddenly struck me. I knew what it was. At that moment, it hit me like a bolt of lightning. Do you know what it is that makes him so special, so charismatic? It's the shining. The shining. I'll show you what I mean. Look at me.
If you'll take your prayer book and turn out
I didn't interrupt you last week. Look at me. I have this stuff on my head. It grows like a weed. I have to cut it. I have to blow it dry. I have to comb it. It's a real pain in the neck. But the worst part about it is it's dull. It absorbs light. It's boring. But look at him. In fact, the radiance of his countenance is so great, when I look at him, I have to put on something. Now, this was hinted at in the Torah. Because you remember when Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Mount Sinai, carrying the 10 Commandments, the Aseret HaDibrot, one in each hand. The Torah says that Karan or Panav, Moses' brow emitted rays of light. The Latin translation, by the way, described them as horns of light. And hence you got the Michelangelo statue of Moses with the horns, and then the calumny over the years that Jews have horns, and all of those things that came. But it came from the description in the Torah that Moses' brow shined forth with rays of light. And do you know what the Torah then says? It says the people saw him and they were afraid. They never saw anybody whose brow shined with rays of light like that of Moses. And so what did he do? Vayitein al panav masveh. He put a shmata over his head. A rag. A rug. Now, when your rabbi came to Syracuse, you didn't see the rays of light that came from his head. He didn't want you to be afraid. But when he finally removed that big black pulpit yarmulke he used to wear, the light came forth and warp speed, surrounding us with its brilliance. Then, truly, he was worthy of standing on this pulpit, centered between the two tablets of the Torah, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Mi Moshe Rabbeinu ad Chuck Rabbeinu. From Moses, our rabbi, to Chuck, our rabbi. Well, a rabbi is a teacher, and your rabbi is a marvelous teacher. He teaches not only with words, but he teaches with deeds. The Talmud tells us that a true rabbi is capable of teaching with every step that he takes, every deed of his life, every action. Well, I am sure that neither Chuck nor I would suggest that either of us is such a paradigm of virtue that someone can learn from every one of our actions. But when I think of your rabbi, and when I think of his family, and when I think of how much they have taught me by how they have lived, especially these last 8 years, truly he deserves to be called Rabbeinu, our rabbi and our teachers. I remember the dark days 8 years ago, a call, one of the many, Seymour, Eyal's in the hospital, things are bad, I can't talk, I'll call you back. And another one that came, and you knew this one was important because it was Shabbos afternoon that he called. They just took a CAT scan. Eyal has a brain tumor. God, how can this be happening to us? And there were surgeries, and there was despair. But the despair was short-lived because somewhere, these two people over here, Chuck and Leah, somewhere they found a strength that was superhuman. Somehow they found a perseverance that was not to be duplicated. He knocked on every door, called every doctor, searched every hospital, researched every cancer and brain tumor protocol. He demanded, he cajoled, he did not accept the word impossible. And because he didn't accept it, we are here today. And through it all, he could still joke, he could still laugh, and he could still make us laugh. Eyal came home Erev Rosh Hashanah 7 years ago. And the family, these last 7 years, Chuck and Leah and the children, have been a paradigm of how a family faces what could be a crushing situation. Leah, I don't know how you do it. Last Shabbos morning, he said Beth was a saint for living with me. But if anybody qualifies for sainthood, it's you. Not just because you live with him. But this woman is a rock. I have never seen anyone so focused at the task at hand. From early in the morning to late at night, when the nurses are there, and on those days when they do not have nurses, and there are many. Her love, the love of a mother, focuses her, sustains her. She is at Eyal's side constantly, and she does it seemingly balancing, juggling everything in the air, and nothing falls, nothing drops. And the children, Noga and Ora, who read Torah this morning, Erez, whose bar mitzvah is coming just about 13 or 14 months from now, and Nitza, who was born just after Eyal had been diagnosed with his illness. Each one of them plays a part. Each one of them makes the miracle of this morning service possible. We visit the Shermans often. We stay in their house. You didn't invite me this time. We had to stay in a hotel. It's okay. Last Thanksgiving, we came to visit. Now picture this. There were the 7 Shermans, a nurse, that's 8 people. Noga had a friend from Brandeis with her, that's 9 people. There were the 5 in my family, that's 14 people, and my mother, 15 people. 15 people sleeping all over that house, and it seemed normal. And that is the most amazing miracle of the Sherman household. That which is so extraordinary, when you are with them, seems so normal, does not seem unusual or out of the ordinary. Eyal is one of the group. They tease him. They kibitz him. He doesn't get any special privileges because he's in a wheelchair and can't answer back too loudly. They include him. We had a jam session on Thanksgiving afternoon. Erez was at the piano. Chuck was on the accordion. Marilyn was on the violin. Noga and Omer and I sang. And Eyal, with a mouth stick, beat out the beat on an electronic drum. And everybody was smiling and laughing and having a good time. Leah's got it all on tape. You can see it anytime you want. Eyal, you're the one who makes that possible. You're a teenager. A magnificent day for you today. The Torah says when God gave the commandments, V'chol ha'am ro'im et ha'kolot, all of the people saw the sound of the thunder. And we've always puzzled about that verse. How do you see sound? Well, this morning we saw sound. We saw your voice. We did not hear it, but we saw it. And I'm going to tell them a secret, Eyal. His vocabulary goes way beyond the words of the Torah that he shared with you this morning. Eyal has a vocabulary of words that your parents are glad we can't hear, even if we can read your lips. And while I wouldn't say these words from the bima, I can tell you most of them have 4 letters in them. And when Eyal is angry, a zerbet or a word, and you know he's upset with you. Like, for instance, if I were to promise you, Eyal, that tonight I'm going to do my rendition of David Crockett for you, Eyal would let me know very quickly, if he weren't so polite because he's on the bima, he would let me know what he thinks of that. Big Al, they call him in the Challenger Little League. And whether it's at Disney World or at the shore, whether it's at the New York State Fair or in Niagara Falls, whether he's playing Nintendo or writing on his computer or drawing on his computer, Eyal, your personality, your will to be a regular guy makes us all smile and makes us all happy. Eyal is also a poet. Chuck read for you one of Eyal's most recent compositions. But one of my favorites of Eyal's composition was written about 2 years ago, and I read it from my own congregation on Rosh Hashanah. And it says in part, "It isn't fair because I'm in a wheelchair, but I can do things you wouldn't dare. If you see me rolling by, just give a smile and say hi." And about his bar mitzvah, he wrote, "Now that I am bar mitzvah age, I will sit there on the pulpit stage, reading and singing all the prayers while the people sit there in their chairs. Listening to my words, though not very loud, my parents, friends, and family will all be very proud." And we are. And we are. When a rabbi has a simcha, it is not only his and his family's, but the congregation. You are part of their family. We as rabbis at your simchas, and now you have the opportunity to share as extended family in the rabbi's simcha. And that is as it should be. You deserve it. Without your support, without your understanding, without your caring, without your love, without your encouragement, things would be so very different. You are a partner in this morning's miracle. And that's why we have all of these technological arrangements. Despite the fact that normally Rabbi Sherman would have grave reservations about using such technology on Shabbos morning. But he uses it this morning, not to show off Eyal, but to include you. To include you. So that you could see the voice of this gentle and tender young man. Blessed is the congregation whose rabbi so wants to include his congregation to such a degree and goes to such lengths to do it. And blessed is the rabbi who is privileged to serve such a congregation. This morning we read Parshat Korach. As Rabbi Sherman told you earlier, there was an attack against the leadership of Moshe. What rabbi has not heard such attacks on him or her in the years of their service to the community? But there is a test to prove the worthiness of Aaron the high priest. The 12 leaders of the tribe, each one presents their staff before the tent of meeting. And Aaron's name is written on the staff of the tribe of Levi. And the Torah says, "V'ish asher evchar bo mateu yifrach," and the man I have chosen, his staff will bloom. V'hinei parach matei Aharon leveit Levi, and behold, the staff of Aaron blossomed. There was flowers and buds and fruit that came forth. And the commentary says, "Kashem sheyesh ba'ilam prachim v'tzitzim ufeirot." Just as on a tree there grow flowers and blossoms and fruits, so all Israel takes part. There are the flowers and there are the blossoms, but the fruit comes b'zchut hakohen, b'zchut hatzadik. The fruit comes by virtue of the tzaddik, by the virtue of the righteous people among us. Now I know that even Chuck wouldn't say he's a tzaddik, would you? But this rabbi and this congregation have put its staff forward, a staff inscribed with the name Adat Yeshurun, Temple Adat Yeshurun. And on it is the name Rabbi Charles Sherman, Leah Sherman, Noga, Ora, Eyal, Erez, and Mitzvah. And this morning we have seen this staff flower and bud and give fruit of the Spirit. Sometimes we say that ordinary people are capable of doing extraordinary things, and that's the miracle. But today, as we bear witness to the power of the Spirit, we know that the miracle is in taking the extraordinary and making it seem ordinary, making it seem like the most normal thing in the world. And in doing that, we truly achieve the heroic and the inspirational. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh, and in the Psalms we said the verse, Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day which the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice. Let us be happy in it. And on this Shabbat morning of Eyal's bar mitzvah, when his parents, his friends, and his family are very, very proud, let us rejoice in this day which the Lord hath made. Let us be glad. Let us never forget what we have shared together on this Shabbat morning. Let us never forget the radiance that comes from this sanctuary that is filled with so many loving members of the extended Sherman family. Let that brilliant light of inspiration illuminate our life's path so that we walk with hope and with confidence toward true and meaningful spiritual achievement. And let us say, Amen.
He asked if it's all right, everything except the bald head.
I never used that word.
Ladies and gentlemen, we turn please to page 428. We rise please to the concluding portions of the Mitzvah service. call upon Erez and Mitzvah. They're going to conclude the service with Eyal. Page 508. They're going to come up here. Page 508. Ein Kelohim. Please rise.